Flurries pushing into the interior this morning. Some flurries abounding here and there. Not incredible accumulation expected. No, not incredible accumulation expected at all. In fact, it's quite nice to have a little bit of that snow pushing in. You know, one of the things I was talking about the last bunch of days was that we had the cold air mass sitting here, and if the snow could, and the cold, and that storm could push up against it a little bit and kind of push that cold air back a little bit, that would be really nice. And well, minus 3.6 at 9 in the morning. I'd say that successfully has happened. So a little bit more of that snow. We weren't sure how much would get into the interior. A little bit more is coming in, but not enough to make for very much for weather warnings and statements and things like that. Really, we're here to talk about the crazy mid-latitude cyclone. 170 kilometers an hour. Oh my, let's go. There it is. This is bad news. My God.
Falling out right now.
Anything could happen. Get on! Wow. I'll watch the video later. Ain't try mopping this. I'm Joey Only, and this is the Bad News Show here on Caribou Weather Dude YouTube channel, my friends. Ben Cow on Blue Sky asked what it's like to try to land a plane in a bomb cyclone in Seattle. And here's this plane coming in, and I'll watch him. Watch him for a second. He zooms in on him. You can see him. He's fighting the wind. He's fighting the wind. You can see the wind in the trees there. Oh, boy. Would you like to be a person on that plane? And then Ben says, what's it like to land at WAWX during a bomb cyclone? And let's have a look at this plane's wings bobbing up and down, going down. We have a lot of power outages in Vancouver Island this morning, my friends. And no, it wasn't caused by HARP. You know, I sit here for 10 days straight telling you the storm is probably going to happen. 10 days, right? 10 days. So it's not somebody pushing a button somewhere else doing it, because we looked at the conditions on planet Earth and said these conditions will result most likely in a storm of this nature at this time. We told you that for 10 days, and you're like, and then the storm's happening. You're like, oh my God, must be the government. Oh my God. That guy wasn't predicting it for 10 days. Here's the weather group I run on Facebook, Interior Weather and Wilderness Watchers. We're almost at 40,000 members. And speaking of which, lots of new subscribers on the channel here. Thank you very much. Trying to get myself up to 10,000. That seemed unbelievable at one time that we could possibly have that many people on this channel. But as you can see, we're over 6,000 now. Now here's this storm just pounding in Comox last night. Just pounding. Here we got some people on Vancouver Island who are playing in the water. That is so cold. I would never, ever do that in a million years. Not even in the summer I would go in the ocean. The ocean is a crappy place to go into. It's extremely cold. Now, this is a video of some of the marinas from James Island in Saanich, and this was shared to us by Jilly there, who does a lot of great work. But you can just see that is angry. That ocean is so angry. Imagine being a ship, and that's in a pretty sheltered place. Those boats are getting absolutely soaked and drenched with water. Pretty sad situation for that boat owner, I'm sure, to wake up to today. And this is Port Hardy. Thanks to Janine there. Fantastic video. So, folks, you have to understand, a cyclone of this power, now there's so much energy exploding. It's so much energy. We're talking massive amounts of energy. We're talking in the magnitudes of multiples of Hiroshima power atomic bombs going off. That's the kind of energy. We cannot, and then you put that over the course of several days, the lifespan of this storm, and every minute, and it's putting off an atomic bomb worth of energy. Man, like, you cannot just create this kind of thing out of thin air. So let go of your fucking conspiracy theories and understand that weather has always happened and always will. We'll just check in on Justin. They got 121,000 followers now in the Weather Center, Manitoba. Good job, Justin. I didn't know there was 121,000 people in Manitoba who could read. Blowing snow on Highway 1 west of Brandon right now. Trans-Canada remains closed at the time of posting. Snow and blowing snow continue with icy sections on the highway there. There's the view of Highway 1 and Cirrus River, where it remains closed. That's Highway 10, Cirrus River, Highway remains closed. Highway update, Highway 16 has reopened, however, as of an hour ago. And we have Highway 3 closed from Deloraine to Killarney. So there are a bunch of highway closed all the way from number 25. Number 10's closed. Unbelievable whiteout conditions this morning in Brandon, Manitoba. What are you saying? Oh, no, That's 15-minute long video, Justin. We're not going to watch a 15-minute long video. This is my channel, not yours. School bus cancellations going on right now in Manitoba. Highway 1 closed from Saskatchewan border east to Austin. Amazing. Look at this, man. So much snow. Riding Mountain Park is getting crazy last night, he said. Looking for the pictures, you wouldn't be surprised if 75 to 100 centimeters landed up on top there of the Riding Mountain Provincial Park. Make sure if you're on the Blue Sky, if you're on the Facebook, you do check out the Weather Center in Manitoba. Those guys are on my podcast often with us, because we are a team of all different kinds of people with different ideas and beliefs in politics, and that's what kind of makes the Meteorological Report very cool, is that we have this great coming together of different kinds of minds from different kinds of parts of the country, and we make this fantastic podcast every Thursday night. So tomorrow night, check in with us. So 500 kilometers it will lie today. So the storm is moving. It's backing off. It's curling northwards today, remaining offshore through the period. Inlets and valleys along the north and central coast will continue to see very strong winds. Be prepared for continued power outages. So a wind warning remains still on that west coast of Vancouver Island with 110 kilometer-an-hour winds, quite likely. Man, up by Port McNeill, up by the very north, we're still talking 90 to 110s there. So strong storm. A weather advisory for high tide still continues late this morning, where minor coastal flooding. We already seen that video of that ship, and this encompasses this whole area, which is interesting because I didn't know that ships were in danger up in the Chilcotin Mountains. Good job with your Polygon Environment Canada. And I just got to be clear on this. Whenever I'm saying, like, come on, let's get your act together to Environment Canada or to Avalanche Canada, I'm not talking to the forecasters who are doing a tremendously amazing job. We are relying on this channel of their information releasing and forecasting all the time. So by no stretch of the imagination, do not pit this against one forecaster against another, because I think those guys are totally awesome. I look up to them. I wish I was like them. Man, I'm not, though. I'm just a guy in Wells who had a mental breakdown fucking years ago, and now he sits here and talks on YouTube. Anyways, no, that's not. I mean, that's kind of half true. But anyways, the beef I have is that during the Harper government, either funding for some of these organizations was cut or wasn't topped up or continued to grow during that time. And I don't feel like the Liberals have come along in the age of inflation and really superseded the funding beyond the point that it originally was, if in some cases in our environmental agencies it is met up at all. So I'm not trying to pick any bones with any of the people who work at Environment Canada or Avalanche Canada, things like that when I say get your shit together. What I'm saying is, government, give these guys some money, because fucking weather's happening here on the West Coast, and we need all the information and the reason why I became popular in the BC interior is because you guys weren't doing your jobs because you don't have the money to do it. So we do have a snowfall warning up for Tumbler Ridge today, maybe even Dawson Creek getting that as well. We're talking about Highway 52, Bear Hole Lake Provincial Park. 10 centimeters expected there today. Nothing too crazy. 10 centimeters, that's not a big deal, but we still have our snowstorm continuing still in Manitoba, Saskatchewan. 15 to 25 centimeters could be expected by Wednesday evening. By this evening, that's right. It's the 20th of November, if I didn't say so. 50 to 25 centimeters. 50 centimeters could be expected by Wednesday evening in that northwest side of Manitoba. Oh my God, that is pretty big snow. If we go down a little bit south there to that southwest corner, maybe Riding Mountain is sort of up there near the border, or that kind of, a little bit north. So anyways, strong snow, 70 kilometer-an-hour winds there. 15 to 30 centimeters are possible on the higher terrain. I love when they say the higher terrain of western Manitoba, like ooh, the high terrain of western Manitoba, ooh, those high elevations. But actually, Riding Mountain, it does have a little bit of a mountain feel. 20 to 40 centimeters expected in eastern Saskatchewan. Go just a little bit over there to 15 to 20 centimeters. So still large snow event continuing. 10 to 20 up there. Large snow event continuing for you, and then all around Arviat, Rankin Inlet, places like that. We got fog and things like that. Freezing drizzle along the Hudson Bay coast. Wind warning. We finally don't have a wind warning up in Saluet, so that's amazing. No one can believe it. It's a total shock. Everybody in Saluet's just like, man, I can't believe 100 kilometer-an-hour mile-per-hour gusts that are happening up in the very far eastern side of Quebec. Newfoundland's got a rain warning, 60 to 80 millimeters. And if we go over to St. John's on the east side, 50 to 60 millimeters of rainfall in there. Oh, there's a special weather statement down there in Ontario, by the way, for fog. It's time for the official tallies. Okay, here's the official tallies. So, last night in British Columbia, intense low-pressure system brought winds to us, as we know. Let's look at some of the ones that were recorded and see what stands out here. So, Vancouver Island International Airport, 78, 87, 93. Greater Victoria, the highest we saw there was at Race Rocks, 113 kilometers an hour. In the South Gulf Islands, Pam Rocks hit to 96. On East Vancouver Island, we saw Entrance Island get to 104, and Sisters Island got to 113. Balena's 109. West Vancouver Island, 74. Estevan's but North Vancouver Island, check out some of these, my friends. Sartine, 170. Solander, 137. Herbert Island, 102. Port Hardy Airport, 102. Cathedral Point, 104. Cathedral Grove had trees down in it. I saw my friends in Nubu had trees down in it. Okay, we got maximum temperature records being set up in Nunavut. Unbelievable. So now we got some of these power outages things to talk about, right? So on Vancouver Island North, restoration efforts continue following Tuesday's windstorm. This was at 7:45 a.m. They put these out. All available crews and contractor crews will continue to work through the day to repair the extensive damage. Like, yeah, of course they will. No one thinks that you're not going to work on it. Imagine if it said, well, crews are going to get together, work for the morning, then have lunch, then maybe go to a Teams meeting, then maybe hang out and have some time together to build our relationships as a staff, and then maybe at nighttime we'll come back at it or a little while. Like, what would you expect it to say? Crews have to clear vegetation and trees from roadways, so the roads, and some of them are impassable. So they have just to get to the down power outages, they have to get past down trees and broken power lines and things like that. High winds are expected there today, so they're asking customers to stay prepared for possible power outages and remember to stay 10 meters away from downed or damaged power lines. And that's 10 meters. I would try my best to stay much further away than that. For the south end of Vancouver Island, it's going to say the exact same thing, okay? In fact, it does. It says the exact same thing. So, I mean, look at these outages in British Columbia this morning. I'm actually surprised. This is more than I thought. So we have power outages up that 93 or 95 highway, the 95 highway that goes south of Golden. So from Invermere down to Cranbrook, there seems to be some power outages going on there. Wilmer has a power outage. So, okay. Good for you, Wilmer. Sorry about your luck, Wilmer. And small power outage in Cranbrook. So I don't know if that's related or not. It doesn't seem like that's widespread. So there's a few of those maybe out there, but let's find the ones that are the real deal. So we have, well, look, we got 2 in Kelowna. Valemount, I'm not sure if that's storm related or not, but I suspect these ones, yeah, I think so. We got lots of blowing snow going up there. Mackenzie's got 2 power outages reported. Fort St. John north of's got a couple reported, but the real deal is down in the southwest side of the province and out to the coast, where out in Seton Portage, we got 2 reports. We got reports. There's 750,000 people without power in Washington State and BC last night. I don't know what the number is this morning. I don't know what the number would be like in California. I'm not sure what the data is right now on how much of this ridiculous storm is hitting down there. I'm not sure what the real data is on that right now. And I mean, you want to check an American forecaster, I feel like. 22 outages in Courtenay, 36 in the Nanaimo area. Wow, man, 21 in the General Duncan area. So these are a lot of power. People are going to have to maybe anticipate spending a lot of time in the dark over the next day or two, because how many crews are there? How much can they realistically get done in a day? Let's be clear. Okay, for everybody who's ever heard me make mistakes on how to say these words, we got a couple here that I traditionally have had a hard time with because I've never been to Tassis, and I've never been to Zabelas, I've never been to Blowhole. So our storm this morning is still sitting at 957 millibars of central low pressure. So it's still a very strong and impacting storm. And still over on the Manitoba side, we still have this backside, this north west side of the storm, still dumping lots of snow. We have some pretty strong winds there all west of Winnipeg. So we got this a bit of precipitation into the interior today as well. Going infrared and have a look, but some of that may be happening. So maybe that is actually as a result of the storm down there in Cranbrook. Maybe that actually is, even though there's only 2 down there and they seem to be small. I'm looking at the way the hose is pointed right at them right now, and you can see looks like just north of San Jose is where the atmospheric river seems to be really landing in there right now. So that's the bottom, the calma end of this storm right now. And luckily for us, that's brought our temperatures up just a little bit into the interior this morning. I'm not complaining, although if you don't have to go too far, to Fort St. John, you're hitting minus 20 already at this hour. It's morning time, but it's still very, very cold there. We got strong winds of 50 kilometers reported in Williams Lake right now. We got strong winds off the coast, still continuing. 79 on a ship there, 94 on a ship there, 83 on a ship there. So some of these very, very strong winds all up and down the U.S. coast and the Canadian coast. So it's still not a good day to be sailing around out there. 74 on a ship. Definitely calmer than it was last night when it was at its most maximum pissed off. Here's its motion today. We know it's going to have in below it another storm more or less form. I mean, it's the same storm, but it's not the same storm. It's a separate cell, but to me, it's the same area of bullshit that's going on. You know, it's more or less the same storm, even if it's not the same storm. Does that make sense? I'm doing my best here, folks. I only had one coffee this morning so far. You know, it's been, and it was good. It was a really good coffee. So you can see our storm, though, it will start to choke itself off today, and you can even see that already in the motion, that we don't have that warmth feeding quite in. We got a little bit here. We don't have that warmth really feeding in now, so that storm is going to start to weaken fairly rapidly today. Another one will find its way in below it, you know, so it's going to kick some precip at the interior today, but as we saw, nothing crazy except for maybe up in that south piece and maybe the Highway 16 corridor or something. It's snowing lightly here in Wells, right? It is right now. Southern BC on Thursday evening, that's when kind of the next one starts to make its push up. You can see the 2 of them now, the 2 of them swirling around, probably sharing a little bit of the wonderful Fujiwara effect, and we can see that we still have some possibility of strong winds on Friday into the southern interior, into the central interior, up into the north interior, along the coast, pretty much the entire province. And we have some snow beginning to make its way through on Friday. So I think tomorrow, or I may make a specific forecast about this even later tonight. I just really wanted to revisit some of the insane things that we saw from this weekend, from the storm last night, and from today. The storm hasn't completely finished yet, right? So we are expecting more snow to move on inland, so heads up for this weekend. Snow from Western Canada, Manitoba, right on over. It's all going to be here for the fun and for our benefit. Well, that's the show today. If you're new around here, please hit like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, maybe join the channel, join the Patreon, make a donation. Help me. I'm just a madman up here in the mountains trying my best to keep everybody in the BC interior informed. And that's, like I said, there was a time where people didn't have good access to the internet. People didn't have very good comprehension of weather terms and knowledge. People didn't have, there wasn't a lot of maps to access. People didn't know how to read them. They didn't know the terms, right? There was a time where there was much less available for people than there is now today. And that's when I started Interior Weather and Wilderness Watchers and said, well, we got to do something about this. People have no clue. I'm like the only person in town who has any idea what the weather's going to do next. I'll be having coffee with people in the morning and be like, well, yeah, it's going to get nice again. I'm like, no, it's not. How do you think that? So I started a weather group, and I chased storms for many, 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 many years, a lifelong passion. And then I decided, well, maybe I should take some of this knowledge and maybe start to share it. And that's what I'm doing here, trying my best for everybody. So do your best here and support me if you can. Well, that's the show for this morning, everybody. We'll have a fresh forecast for you in a little, maybe tonight, probably. Something like that. We'll see. Yeah, we'll look at the snow coming in, and we'll look at how cold it's going to get, because that cold is beating back a little bit right now, but it's still out there, and it's still coming.